Obi Wan Kenobi. Obi Wan. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time. A long time.
Look what has become of you. A rat in the desert.
Look what I have risen above.
It's been a long time coming, but we are finally getting Ewan McGregor back as Obi Wan Kenobi in live action for a Disney Plus series. In this video, we're going to preview everything we already know about this series and talk about everything we expect to see.
We do it for the fans.
Today's shout out goes to our Patreons. These people are amazing and they help us out way more than just with money. Patreon is an awesome place where we talk about a lot of different things behind the scenes and things that are going on with the brand and this channel. If you like what we're doing here on YouTube and you want to support us and be a part of some kind of exclusive behind the scenes stuff, consider going and checking out the Patreon today. What's up, everybody? Happy Star Wars Sunday to you if you're watching this video on Sunday, and if not, no big deal, but you should know we drop awesome Star Wars videos every single Sunday. And today's video is quite a treat because the Obi Wan Kenobi series has been confirmed by a bunch of different people at this point, and I am super excited to not only talk about some of the information that is out there now, and there's new information, so you probably haven't heard some of this stuff yet, but I also want to go to speculation town and talk about some of the things that I expect to see in the series and some of the stuff that I would just be over the moon if they actually gave us in the show. Okay, so let's get into this. Right now, sources are saying that this series, god damn, that's hard to say. Okay, so let's get into this. Right now, sources are saying that this series will be between 6 and 8 episodes, of course premiering on the Disney Plus platform. It is also being reported that Ewan McGregor will do more than just star in the series, but he will actually be behind the camera directing a couple of episodes. In fact, according to Fantha Tracks, this was a big thing to get Ewan McGregor to actually sign the contract. Like, he definitely wanted to be Obi-Wan again, and we're pretty sure that he had conversations with Disney because, as we've talked about on this channel a lot and as many people talked about on the internet, there was an Obi Wan Kenobi movie that was being planned. We're damn sure that they met with Ewan McGregor and had talked to him about this. And the way I kind of see this going down is that Ewan McGregor probably really wanted to be in a movie. He doesn't really do a lot of television at all, but this was sort of different, you know, it's streaming. But I'm thinking that maybe him signing up to actually be behind the camera was a big deal for him. Like, you know, what Fantha Tracks is saying is that that was really important to get him to sign this contract. Also, according to Fantha Tracks, is this idea that Ewan McGregor will be joined with a familiar mechanical co-star. And they say in that little report that when they heard who it was going to be, their heart skipped a beat. Now, this is something that the internet is going crazy over. There's a lot of speculation on what this could mean exactly. A familiar mechanical co-star? People are thinking this could be a droid. People are thinking this could be Anthony Daniels, who's of course C-3PO, but maybe he's playing a different role. People have even suggested it's going to be Hondo because there's a mechanical Hondo at Galaxy's Edge, which I find kind of funny. I've also heard people say this could be referring to Darth Maul, who of course is half mechanical and has co-starred with Obi-Wan in a lot of other movies and shows and stuff. It could even be Vader. Think about it. Anakin was a co-star with him for like all of the prequels and then becomes more machine than man.
He's more machine now than man. Twisted and evil.
So it could even be Vader. Like, you could be showing how Obi-Wan is seeing what Vader's doing or something. That could be really wild. Personally, my money is actually on Darth Maul playing a big role and that being the sort of co-star for the film. And I will get into why I think that in just a second. Now let's talk about what we expect to see in this show. Everything we just talked about is what's official out there. Now we're gonna kind of get into some speculation, talk about different aspects of canon. This 19-year period where Obi Wan Kenobi is on Tatooine watching over a young Luke Skywalker. This is more or less where this story is going to take place. It's the only place in canon that they have a little wiggle room, and even in that 19 years, there's still some restrictions. Like, we know from the comic books that Obi-Wan was there quite a bit, and we also know that 5 years before before A New Hope, Obi-Wan is still there and he actually meets up with Darth Maul, and this is where Darth Maul gets his final end. I'm sorry if that's spoilers, but yeah, Darth Maul eventually makes his way to Tatooine in Star Wars Rebels. It's an amazing episode of that show. You should definitely go check it out. But you see what I'm saying here? Even within that 19-year period, there's still restrictions as far as what you can do with the canon. Now, with an Obi-Wan show, particularly in this time period, comes some really awesome things from the canon that we can explore over these 6 to 8 episodes. Number one on my list that I expect to see is some training with Qui-Gon Jinn. It's no secret that Yoda had training for Obi-Wan on Tatooine, that he had gotten in touch with his old master Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn was the first Jedi to master coming back from the realm of the dead, or basically like coming back in a Force ghost form, except that Qui-Gon couldn't actually manifest into a Force ghost form. He could only do like his voice, like his presence. He could only do that. But this is how Obi-Wan becomes the Force ghost that we see him as in a lot of the original trilogy. And any little pieces we can get here where he's being trained, I mean, you know, bring Liam Neeson back. He doesn't even have to be on screen. It can just be visual, but holy crap, that would be amazing. And there's a lot of room for awesome character moments and things that will help fill out the canon in this show. It's also possible we get some conversations with Yoda because, again, in Star Wars Rebels, when Ezra Bridger shows up to Tatooine, Obi-Wan knows exactly who he is, and the only way we think that's possible is because Yoda knew who Ezra Bridger was, and all of these Jedi who were in hiding and kind of biding their time while the Emperor and Vader did their thing, they were probably all in some kind of form of communication. And again, this is just juicy stuff, man. Like getting to see what Yoda and Obi-Wan were thinking as Vader and the Emperor are solidifying their power, that's really cool stuff. There's of course the opportunity to see some young Luke Skywalker and have Obi-Wan interacting with the Lars family, and just a lot of juicy stuff that you can do with Obi-Wan perhaps wanting to give the lightsaber to Luke at a much younger age than he actually does. Be a lot of conflict talking about Anakin, just bringing that kind of stuff up, because we have to know, of course, that Obi-Wan is probably struggling with this quite a bit. So is the Lars family. They're struggling with this quite a bit as well. And the last thing I would expect to see that would really get me excited is a possible love interest for Obi Wan Kenobi. Now this goes into something I'm going to talk about at the end of the video, which is a possible connection to the Rey character. It is very possible still that Rey is actually of the bloodline of Obi Wan Kenobi, that Obi-Wan was her grandfather. Now, everything that I just explained is amazing and really juicy, and I think will give a lot of nice flavor to this show, but it's all kind of backgroundy stuff. It's not main plot devices. So the question remains, what would be the main plot of this Obi-Wan Kenobi series? Well, a lot of people are saying that the plot would probably circle around a one-time thing where Obi-Wan actually does leave Tatooine, leaving his mission to protect Luke Skywalker and going on some kind of other adventure. Now, we've never heard or had it indicated to us that this is something that Obi-Wan did during this time, but it's not outside of the realm of possibilities, especially if it's just a one-time thing. If it's something really big, if it's a really big deal, it could possibly draw Obi-Wan off of Tatooine and make him go do some kind of crazy adventure. And this is where a lot of people have started to speculate that it would be Darth Maul. That something to do with Maul at this point could be big enough to take Obi-Wan off of Tatooine. And even if he shouldn't do it, like even if realistically Yoda was telling him not to do it, Qui-Gon was telling him not to do it, we know that, you know, despite being, you know, Jedi, these characters sometimes do things they're not supposed to do. I mean, think about it. Rey is told not to leave Ahch-To to go see Kylo Ren. She does. Luke is told to finish his training with Yoda and not go fight Vader and try to save his friends, but he does. Jedi are fallible, and it's one of the reasons that these stories are relatable, even though these guys hold this very strict tenets and rules. So it's possible that Obi-Wan, despite knowing he shouldn't, despite being told he shouldn't, leaves Tatooine to go try to stop Maul. And when it comes to Darth Maul, it really seems like Disney was interested in telling more of this story. I mean, the cameo in Solo is really telling. The fact that Maul was brought back in Rebels and Clone Wars is really telling. And a big mystery to fans, particularly after watching Solo, was how did Darth Maul go from this place where he was consolidating power once again, you know, being in charge of the Crimson Dawn, to being a hermit on Malachar? Well, perhaps Obi-Wan is a part of why that happens. Which, by the way, could also fuel, again, why Maul is so hell-bent on striking down Kenobi on Tatooine in Star Wars Rebels. It's also important to note here that it did seem like Lucasfilm had a plan for Maul, in the future. That cameo was probably not just a flavor cameo, it could be something tying into a larger story, and we do know that they were talking, or at least considering, making Solo into a trilogy, and the idea here would probably be that the next film would focus on Qi'ra, her relationship with Maul, and Maul would be the big villain there, and there would be some kind of a run-in with Han Solo. Well, just like the canceled Boba Fett movie got folded into the Mandalorian show, and just like the canceled Obi Wan movie is being folded into this Obi Wan series, it is very possible that the plans for the Han Solo trilogy could be folded into either one or both of these series that I just mentioned. So a lot of the live action Darth Maul stuff could be folded into the Obi-Wan series, and this could also be what this mechanical co-star is that Fantatrax is referring to. Now lastly, and this is way far-fetched, but it's something that I would really enjoy here, is if we get introduced to another love interest for Obi Wan Kenobi, and this love interest would end up being the grandmother of Rey. Now of course we don't know how they're going to handle the parentage of Rey in The Rise of Skywalker, but we've heard a lot of things from J.J. Abrams that, yeah, they're going to be changing things. They're going to be sort of retconning this idea that she has no lineage, and her lineage will actually be explained and be important in Episode 9. And if they go the route of tying her to the Kenobis, it could really serve the show a lot to show how that love interest started and why Obi-Wan actually did conceive a child, which then conceived a child, which was Rey. And yeah, that would just be some really juicy stuff. And I'd actually hope this would be a character that Obi-Wan was introduced to like on this mission. Like it would make more sense to me that the grandmother of Rey actually has the child off of Tatooine. Perhaps like whatever happens with her and Obi-Wan during the show, they have this relationship, but then Obi-Wan's like, I gotta go finish my mission, which is of course on this desert backwater planet Tatooine, and she's not down. She's not down with hanging out. They go their separate ways, but then she does have a child, and Obi-Wan maybe becomes aware of it eventually, but maybe not at first. I don't know, like I said, kind of reaching, kind of crazy, but I would really like it if this was something we did see in the Obi-Wan series. And so that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Wanted to talk about the Obi-Wan series, bring some new information about what to expect in the show, and also I wanted to speculate about all the juicy things they could do in the show and why I think they'd be so freaking cool. So let me know what you think about any and everything we talked about in this video in the comments section below. And now let's check the nerd card before we get out of here. I want to know, what is the name of the unorthodox Jedi Master in the Claudia Gray novel, Master and the Apprentice, which of course talks about Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan way back in the day. There's a ridiculously unorthodox Jedi in there who's now one of my favorite Jedi ever. You'll know if you've read the book, but I want to know, what's the name of that character? Answer that question in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next